As we pick up from last time, Solomon's elder, Bing Tian, was grievously wounded in a mutual defeat with the Bloodthirsty Demon Dragon. Meanwhile, in Wind Thunder City, the maiden in the colorful skirt, Feng Yi, accompanied by 4 3-star Do D masters, forcibly drove Bing Tian to self-destruct. In the distant expanse beyond the mountains, Red Fighting Spirit roared out like a fiery cloud, atop which a tall figure stood with his hands behind his back, his demeanor lofty. He paid no heed to the many heading towards the main hall, instead directing his gaze towards the location of the Bloodthirsty Demon Dragon. Clearly, this favored son of Wu City had also sensed the terrifying energy storm. His expression changed instantly. Bing Tian and Bing Wu, those 2 old fools, actually self-destructed. To push them to such an extent, that person must truly be formidable. Wu Huan suddenly tasted bitterness in his mouth. He was well aware of the strength of the elderly Bing Tian and Bing Wu. To drive them both to such a state marked him as a true prodigy. Wu Huan was also very clear-headed, not one to hesitate. A fierce light flashed in his eyes. Recalling that so-called Xiao Yin was also heading in that direction, he muttered to himself, Xiao Yin is indeed very strange. Even though you are an Emperor Realm alchemist, having killed Bing Wu and Bing Tian, you're hardly going to be better off. Solomon will not stand by and watch an elder be killed, hee. With a cold laugh, Wu Huan decisively turned his head, waving his hand, and hastened his speed towards the main hall. At a certain point in the mountains, one of the 3 companions of the maiden in the colorful skirt, an old man in white, was also shocked by Bing Tian's crazy action, quickly grabbed Feng Yi, and moved through the forest like lightning. Finally, he appeared atop a mountain peak, overlooking the energy storm raging through the mountains, and involuntarily took a deep breath. This old guy, he really has gone mad. Feng Yi was also frightened by the destructive energy below, her pretty face turning slightly pale. The self-destruction of a Do D master was not something everyone could witness. To drive a Do D master to such a desperate act of self-destruction, this bloodthirsty demon dragon truly lives up to its fearsome reputation. The old man in white slowly raised his head, looking towards the fallen figure in the distant sky, and sighed. But it's strange. The body of the demon dragon was just here. How come I can't find it? It must have been obliterated by the self-destruction. Such a pity. But let's prioritize survival. Let's go, miss. His self-destruction spared not even his soul. We should head to the main hall now. The old man felt for a moment and then said, Let's go. The maiden in the colorful skirt quickly left the area. Is she all right? Xiao Yin also scanned the sky, but his vision was far inferior to his master's, naturally unable to see Feng Yi's figure. What could possibly happen to her? That spatial seal directly thwarted Bing Tian's attempt to drag her down with him. Golden Dragon King chuckled and then said, But her killing Bing Tian means she's truly at odds with Solomon now. With Solomon's way of doing things, they will definitely send strong fighters to hunt her down. The energy storm in the mountains continued for about 10 minutes before gradually weakening. During this time, Xiao Yin and Yuru also withdrew. This level of self-destruction had a vast range. Their figures still hovered in the sky, their eyes slowly closing. Fortunately, their soul power was strong enough, and the maiden in the colorful skirt hadn't spotted them earlier. A howling wind swept through the mountains, stirring up dust. The once lush and verdant forest and the cave of the bloodthirsty demon dragon had now turned into a field of mud. When the last vestiges of the energy storm slowly dissipated, Xiao Yin and Yuru finally opened their eyes, their gaze slowly sweeping over the now chaotic mountains below, before gently descending to where Bing Tian had self-destructed. There, a gigantic pit some dozens of yards across appeared, its depths dark and seemingly bottomless. Their gaze swept over the pit. Xiao Yin suddenly paused, stepping down into the pit, where a faint, unassuming light glimmered. Asterisk cough 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 asterisk. Good thing I brought a tortoise breath pill when I came out. Only then could I deceive the remnants of the wind and thunder family. This time back, we must eradicate that damnable wind and thunder family. A small family like them trying to contend with us, Solomon, is utterly delusional. A faint, weak light carried bursts of voices. Sorry, you might not have that chance anymore. Xiaoyan also appeared like a ghost at the source of the light. Xiaoyan's palm slowly stroked the light, and a cold smile suddenly appeared at the corner of his mouth. Terrifying flames blasted out fiercely, shattering the ground beneath. As wood chips flew around, a ghostly soul frantically escaped, soaring towards the sky before the surrounding space abruptly solidified. Elder Bing Tian's scheming is quite impressive, Xiaoyan mused, watching the fleeing soul with a light smile. To explode his body and rely on the special effects of a medicinal pill to let a wisp of soul escape, but it's a pity. Xiaoyan, don't kill me, we can talk this over. You wouldn't want to offend Solomon just like that, right? Trapped, the soul transformed into Bing Tian's ethereal face, now showing genuine fear. If this wisp of my soul is destroyed by you, then I'm truly finished. I didn't want it to come to this, but a person who wouldn't even spare his own brothers. Xiaoyan sighed softly, reaching out to grasp Bing Tian's soul. Little rascal, Solomon won't let you off. Just wait for your death. Feeling Xiaoyan's murderous intent, Bing Tian cursed bitterly. With an expressionless face, Xiaoyan squeezed, and Bing Tian's soul burst apart, transforming into specks of light that faded into nothingness. Watching those fading soul specks, Xiaoyan knew that Bing Tian, the elder of Solomon, had thoroughly bid farewell to this world. Such meticulous planning, showing no mercy to his enemies. Very good, praised the Golden Dragon King. In a distant, quiet wooden house, among hundreds of plaques, one suddenly exploded. Beside it, an old man with eyes closed in meditation slowly opened them, his eyes dark and giving off a sinister vibe. How dare he kill an elder of Solomon? Order given, thoroughly investigate this person. Yes, master. With anger in his voice, the elder had barely finished speaking when someone outside began to act. Beside him, Yuru blinked in confusion. She hadn't seen the moment Xiaoyan destroyed Bing Tian's soul, but she seemed to think highly of Xiaoyan's actions, a sentiment her father, usually so discerning, shared. A soft laugh suddenly echoed across the mountain, and Xiaoyan's figure gradually appeared before Yuru. Xiaoyan. Seeing him, Yuru immediately exclaimed with joy. The body of the bloodthirsty demon dragon is still intact. You know the value of this monster corpse, right? Her eyes glinting with fervor, Yuru stared at the demon dragon's body next to her, her tone eager. She hadn't noticed Xiaoyan's little trick during the explosion. Xiaoyan, somewhat taken aback by her question, also held the massive, yet rigid body of the bloodthirsty demon dragon, feeling it lightly. Then, with a slight swing of the ancient ruler of heavenly flames behind him, the dragon's stiff head cracked open like tofu, the break smooth as glass. Brilliant light burst forth. It's a magic core. Wonderful. Yuru smiled softly at Xiaoyan, relieved that her concerns were unfounded. If the dragon had lacked a magic core, making Xiaoyan's trip in vain, she would have felt guilty. But Yuru's worry was chaotic. Anything above the 8th tier, powerful enough to rival a Do D, would surely produce a magic core. Let's go. Since we've got the magic core, let's also visit the main hall, Yuru suggested, not greedy since she had obtained the crescent jade fruit she needed and Xiaoyan the magic core he sought. Wait, the entire body of this bloodthirsty demon dragon is a treasure. Xiaoyan noticed, examining the enormous body closely. Such sharp claws. The sharpness took Xiaoyan's breath away. Why bother with this trash? Don't you have better fortunes to chase? It's the blood of this demon dragon that's somewhat useful. If you refine this blood, I can sense the bloodthirsty traits it contains, bloodlust. Refined essence blood could surely be used, said the Golden Dragon King, capturing the atmosphere. Xiaoyan, forehead creased, knew the bloodthirsty demon dragon was a force to be reckoned with. Its blood and body held much value, yet to his mentor, they seemed like trash. However, having seen the bloodthirsty traits of the demon dragon's blood, Xiaoyan began extracting it. Cutting into the dragon's body, a strong smell of blood assailed them, and Yuru's face paled slightly. Inside the dragon, the crimson color intensified with the flame's refinement, eventually condensing together until, under Xiao Yan's surprised gaze, it transformed into a drop of crimson blood, seeping through the flesh and dripping down. Seeing it fall towards the ground, Xiao Yan was quick to act. He pulled out a high-quality jade bottle from his storage ring and caught the drop of blood within. Securing the crimson blood, Xiao Yan finally relaxed. Looking up at the milky white flames, he saw that as the drop of blood fell, the chunk of flesh simply vanished in the fire's heat, leaving not even ashes behind. Looking at the 7 drops of blood in the jade bottle, which remained separate from each other, Xiao Yan could only shake his head in resignation, waving his hand to extinguish the flames before grinning and tucking the jade bottle back into his storage ring. Unnoticed by Feng Yi and the others, the demon dragon's body had yielded this treasure. In Xiao Yan's view, the value of these 7 drops of blood was undoubtedly comparable to that of the dragon itself, perhaps even stronger in some respects. This blood contained the wildly powerful essence of the demon dragon, a substance not to be used carelessly, lest it cause one's body to explode in tragedy. But for Xiao Yan, a skilled alchemist, this was not much of a problem. He had a knack for harmonizing the volatile elements within energies, and with enough time, he was confident he could safely absorb all the blood. Thus, Xiao Yan not only collected the demon dragon's magic core, but also obtained these 7 drops of essence blood capable of invoking the protective aura of the bloodthirsty demon dragon, matching the full-strength blow of a 5-star Do D, leaving him quite satisfied with his haul. Let's go to the main hall. Xiao Yan and Yuru transformed into a streak of light, heading towards the grand hall deep in the mountains. The complexity of this ruin far exceeded Xiao Yan's expectations. Even following Yuru, who possessed a map, they navigated a winding forest that, without caution, provoked attacks from formidable beasts. Fortunately, this ordeal lasted only about 10 minutes before the scenery abruptly opened up. Advancing further, a colossal ancient temple finally came into view. This temple was cloaked in a copper-gray hue, its countless years imparting a profound depth to the color, exuding an ancient aura from every stone slab, resonating with the silence of ages. Gazing at this gray behemoth, Xiao Yan couldn't help but shake his head, landing with Yuru about 100 meters away. Given that such a vast ruin was constructed by an emperor-level powerhouse, he surmised that it must contain considerable treasures. Indeed, their journey here was not in vain. Outside the Gray Temple, numerous powerhouses continuously arrived, yet none dared to cross the 100-meter boundary. Those who reached this place were either from great forces or possessed significant abilities. Mysterious runes flashed around the temple, forming what seemed to be a formation, visible yet elusive. The crowd outside the temple had also noticed the formation and showed no rush. Xiao Yan was similarly patient. With such rich treasures within, it would be naive to think there were no defenses. As Xiao Yan stood with his arms crossed, waiting comfortably, he suddenly felt a piercing cold gaze. Raising an eyebrow, he turned his head and fixed his stare where the icy gaze originated. The source of the gaze was a man dressed in lavish attire, his noble demeanor rendering him almost untouchable, his elegant long hair adding an air of arrogance. Looking at this somewhat unfamiliar face, Yuru couldn't resist rubbing her fingers against Xiao Yan's, surprised to see her here. "That's Wu Huan from Wu City," Yuru whispered. "Oh, the one reputed to have the greatest potential to seize the grand fortune?" Xiao Yan frowned slightly. A 3-star Do D in the late stage, a full 2 levels above himself. While the difference might seem small, the gap between each level was immense and not easily bridged. Even with Xiao Yan's current strength, handling this was challenging, and he sensed a dangerous aura emanating from Wu Huan. Yet, Xiao Yan was unafraid and glanced over at the people surrounding Wu Huan. Among them were many from Wind Thunder City, who had also noticed Xiao Yan and his group, their eyes flickering with coldness. Had it not been for the young lady insisting on following Xiao Yan, they would not have encountered that man from Solomon, causing the young lady's current emotional instability. The self-destruction of that Solomon powerhouse was not to be underestimated, so they harbored some resentment towards Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's gaze swept over the group, suddenly pausing beside Feng Yi. There stood a tall man in brocade robes with white hair, strikingly handsome with a smiling face that exuded nobility, clearly no ordinary individual. Feng Yi, is that the person you mentioned who might possess an Emperor Realm soul? The white-haired man glanced at Xiao Yin and smiled faintly. Yes, and I can feel that his soul power is no weaker than mine. Feng Yi bit her lip, somewhat unwilling to admit it. In Wind Thunder City, cultivation primarily focused on wind and thunder attributes. Feng Yi, being the only daughter of the city lord and dearly loved, had unusually strong soul power from a young age and was a formidable 9th-rank alchemist. Thus, her main focus was on cultivating soul power, with her combat abilities slightly weaker. Having ventured out of Wind Thunder City to this ruin and seeing Xiao Yin from the start sparked her interest. Despite her strong soul power sensing Xiao Yan's alchemical skills, which were definitely not of a low tier, she grew quite fond of him and looked for an opportunity to test their skills against each other, leading to their earlier interactions. Could it be that he's an Emperor-tier alchemist? After this, if you obtain the fortune and break through to the Emperor tier as an alchemist, it's not impossible, the man in white remarked with a slight smile. Feng Yi nodded slightly. Although she found Xiao Yin intriguing, she was clearly more interested in the fortunes within the main hall. What's that? Xiao Yin remained unimpressed, shifting his gaze before his eyes suddenly brightened, staring intently at the hundreds within the Gray Temple. Those initially outside the temple were surprised at this scene. Someone had already entered the formation? Inside the Gray Temple, hundreds were bombarded by a ferocious storm of fire dragons and black winds with unstoppable force. Unseen by Xiao Yin and the others outside the formation, they were desperately resisting the erosion of the formation. Only when they could no longer withstand it did they appear within everyone's sight, instantly devoured without even their souls remaining. The ones who had rashly entered the formation were led by a mid-stage 3-star Do-D, and yet, this formation was terrifyingly powerful, instantly consuming even mid-stage 3-star Do-D without leaving a trace. This must be a formation, the final defense guarding the temple. Damn! As Xiao Yin spoke, the power within the formation converged and attacked him directly. A milky white petal fell just in front of Xiao Yin, followed by the violent assault of the fire dragons and black winds. Boom, boom, boom. In the sky, the wild fluctuations of spiritual energy were rampant. However, when the fire dragons and black winds dissipated, everyone's pupils shrank in shock. The milky white petal protecting Xiao Yin remained completely undamaged. Now that nearly everyone has gathered, let's join forces to break this formation. The fortune will depend on our strength. Wu Huan also addressed the numerous powerhouses outside the temple. Xiao Yan's palm trembled slightly. Even such a minor attack had caused him unbearable pain. Why was the formation targeting only him among so many outside it? But now was not the time for questions. With his eyes burning with a dark fire, Xiao Yin quietly watched the fierce formation in the sky. His slender fingers emitted a milky white light. He lightly tapped the air, and his murmuring voice spread. "Yuru, follow me." As his voice fell, the massive and eerie milky white petal surged with the purest of fluctuations, instantly enveloping Yuru, and then they both dashed towards the formation. The huge, milky white glow, casting a startling white light, tore through the sky at an astonishing speed, carrying Yuru and disappearing from the sight of Wu Huan and the others outside the temple. The milky white lotus petals slowly rotated, each petal gradually unfolding. It seemed as if the entire world dimmed at that moment, with the spiritual energy of the heavens and earth converging overwhelmingly towards the milky white lotus. The fluctuations were incredibly shocking. A flicker of unease crossed Wu Huan's blood-red pupils as he sensed a deathly aura emanating from the eerie milky white lotus. Moreover, he felt that Xiao Yin might have found a way to break the powerful formation. Follow them. Wu Huan was the first to transform into a meteor and head towards the formation. Feng Yi and others exchanged glances. Let's go. The undead also slowly followed. A seductive young girl joined them as well. This is going to be interesting. Afterward, everyone originally outside the temple rushed towards the formation, knowing that the Emperor's grand fortune was just a step away. Inside the formation, flames and black winds crazily converged into its gaping maw, causing the surrounding air to twist violently. Damn it! Where the hell did Xiao Yin go? When Wu Huan had first noticed something off about Xiao Yin and Yuru, he had followed them, becoming the third person to enter the formation. But strangely, as soon as Wu Huan entered, he lost Xiao Yin's trace, as if Xiao Yin and Yuru hadn't entered the formation at all. Thump, thump. A series of sounds fell as the massive group outside the temple successively entered the formation. Damn it! We can't get out. There's no way back. Someone who had just entered the formation discovered its peculiarity. Damn it! Following Wu Huan was a dead end. We might as well not have entered at all. Exactly. Dissatisfied voices emerged, clearly indicating that the powerhouses were beginning to regret their decision to retreat. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not panic. Since we are all here for the so-called grand fortune and treasures, we're now in this strange formation together, like grasshoppers on a string. Arguing now is pointless, Wu Huan said, scanning the group wisely. Why don't we form an alliance temporarily and break this formation first? He suggested. If we're to ally, then someone needs to lead. Who will take the lead? Chimed in the undead, who stood out with a cold snort at this moment, obviously desiring to contest for leadership. Being a late-stage 3-star Do-D like Wu Huan, he clearly wanted a fight. Why not let me take the lead? Wu Huan replied with a slow smile, then released a terrifying aura. Late-stage 3-star Do-D. Seeing Wu Huan's formidable demeanor, many attendees frowned slightly, acknowledging his strength. Just as the undead was about to retort, a fleeting aura identical to his own surged through the crowd, prompting him to reluctantly close his mouth. Even he is here. The undead shivered slightly, extremely fearful of him. Since it seems pointless for anyone else to take charge, let me be the temporary leader, Wu Huan said, his presence asserting control as he withdrew his aura. Let's go. He then addressed the group. Among those who entered the formation were other late-stage 3-star Do-Dis, but none contested Wu Huan, knowing that temporary disputes were meaningless. Inside the formation, everyone watched tensely, noticing the enormous fire dragons in the sky, which seemed to carry a heavy intent to kill. Fire-killing palm. At that moment, Wu Huan's fighting energy surged within him. At the mouth of the snarling beast, fire and black wind expanded to hundreds of feet in size, and with a roar filled with killing intent, it burst forth. As the newly appointed leader, he took the initiative against the gigantic fire dragon. Boom! The sky within the formation seemed to tremble for a moment as two enormous fire dragons and a black wind dragon erupted from Wu Huan's palms. The two dragons soared skyward, intertwining as they ascended, their combined power growing explosively, creating a fearsome spectacle. Those who understood tactics knew that Wu Huan was using his palm strikes to form dragon-shaped fighting energy, not only to attack but also to intimidate his new allies, as he knew well that without showing some capability, it would be difficult to earn their respect. This maneuver, however, wasn't even Wu Huan's strongest. All eyes were on the merging dragons, carrying immense fighting energy as they charged straight towards the eerie black lotus in the sky, leaving a long trail of light behind them. The last petal of the eerie black lotus slowly unfolded at that moment. A deep, dark light, like a creeping shadow over the earth, rapidly converged at the heart of the black lotus, where it seemed that black liquid was dripping. The intense dark light suddenly surged in strength. Shoo! Everyone saw the eerie black lotus tremble violently as 100 feet wide black beam of light silently burst forth from within it. This black beam, while not appearing overly violent, streaked through the sky like a black thunderbolt, and under the watchful eyes of many, it collided with the roaring wind and fire dragons. Boom! A nearly 1,000-foot-wide aura of fighting energy spread from the collision point, causing the space within the formation to seem to shudder. Roar! The dragons roared fiercely, struggling against the waves of immense fighting energy that attempted to disperse the falling black thunderbolt. But shockingly, no matter how they surged, the black beam remained unyielding, standing firm like a pillar supporting the heavens, immovable. Wu Huan watched anxiously, his unease growing as, Despite the black beam's unimpressive appearance, it gave him a chilling sensation. From a distance, Fengyi watched the sky calmly and then flicked her fingers. The black lotus in the sky suddenly burst apart, transforming into a black liquid that merged into the black beam. Wind Thunder Finger. Shoo. As Fengyi acted, with the dispersion of the black lotus, the surface of the black beam seemed to manifest giant black lotus patterns, finally revealing its hidden, formidable power. The deep dark light burst forth from the beam, the eerie lotus emitting a piercing scream. Then, to the shock of many, the wind and fire dragons mercilessly charged towards the now vulnerable eerie lotus, which began to show cracks under their assault. Wu Huan's pupils suddenly contracted. Boom! A thunderous sound echoed as the eerie lotus's black beam was pierced through by the wind and fire dragons, literally blown apart. Wu Huan roared in shock, unprepared for the seemingly unremarkable Fengyi to demonstrate such power. Then, without haste, he stimulated the fighting energy within his body, forming a massive spiritual energy barrier around himself. Boom! The eerie lotus exploded spectacularly. The black beam of light charged forth recklessly, ultimately striking the protective barrier of fighting energy created by Wu Huan. Amidst the screams, it was repelled by Wu Huan's barrier, then shot towards a distant mountain. As the earth trembled, the mountain was instantly reduced to ash and smoke. At that moment, complete silence fell over the entire formation. They watched as the eerie lotus shattered and the black beam swept past, disappearing without a trace, leaving not even the smallest remnant behind. It was as if it had been completely evaporated from existence. The violent fluctuations of fighting energy in the sky rapidly subsided, and the tumultuous battle that had just taken place seemed to have completely vanished. Let's go. Wu Huan, taking the lead, charged forward. The formation broke at that moment, revealing the true face of the Grand Hall. A figure carrying a heavy ruler and a slender woman suddenly appeared before everyone. Xiao Yin. Wu Huan barked fiercely at Xiao Yin, who had apparently broken the formation with some cunning method earlier unknown. Xiao Yin had also been puzzled as to why the formation targeted only him, but when he first encountered the fire dragon within the formation, he sensed that it seemed particularly fearful of Little Yi. Following Little Yi's lead with Yuru, they had passed directly through the formation. With Little Yi guiding them, the flames and the eerie lotus within the formation had obediently cleared a path, leading to the current scene. The Grand Hall was vast, and the people within it seemed as small as ants. At the center of the hall, 7 enormous orbs of light floated in midair. Within the dazzling light, one could vaguely discern scrolls contained within. Immortal-class combat techniques and methods. The mere terrifying fluctuations emanating from the orbs indicated their contents. Xiao Yan's gaze swept over these orbs, emitting a strange pressure, and then suddenly focused on the center of the 7 orbs. There, a stone seat and a stone coffin lay. The coffin was unremarkable and still, but on the stone seat next to it sat a skeleton, its whole body gray-white, hands forming seals, seated cross-legged. The bones of an emperor. Looking at the skeleton, Xiao Yan's mouth felt dry. This was his first encounter with the bones of a Dodi powerhouse in the history of the Dodi continent. Although it was just a skeleton now, the pressure that had seeped deep into the bones felt as heavy as 1,000 caddies, making Xiao Yan and the others feel oppressed. This is the main hall of the ruins, Yuru whispered. Xiao Yan nodded slightly, his gaze moving from the orbs and the skeleton, looking behind him at the entrance of the formation. There, numerous figures stood, each exuding a powerful aura. Among them, Xiao Yan saw Fengyi and Wu Huan again. Hey, that was quick. Seeing these figures, a cold smile crossed Xiao Yan's face. He had also learned from his knowledgeable mentor, the Golden Dragon King, that the previous formation wouldn't hold them off for long. Somehow, the formation seemed to be missing a core element. Inside the vast hall, figures were scattered, standing apart. Apart from a few lone individuals, most were from the powerful factions known in the 5 great cities. Among them, besides the powerful Wu Huan from Wu City and Fengyi from Wind Thunder City, there were also forces from Undead City, Yulan City, and B City, etc. It seemed they were all clear on their objectives. As soon as they had broken through the formation, they had rushed here, fearing they might be too late and miss out on their chance. As Wu Huan and others entered the hall, Xiao Yin, carrying the heavy ruler, naturally drew a lot of attention. Immediate looks of wariness, hostility, or friendliness were cast towards Xiao Yin. Xiao Yin simply smiled at these glances, his eyes briefly catching Wu Huan and the others in a dark mood, probably still mindful of the losses they had suffered within the formation. Amidst many watching eyes, a cold smile emerged on Xiao Yan's lips. With Yu by his side, he walked slowly into the hall and then stopped. Upon entering the hall, Xiao Yan discovered 7 figures sitting around the towering stone seat, their bodies the color of limestone, resembling stone statues with their eyes closed. These poses had been preserved for who knows how many years. Yet even so, these 7 statue-like figures emitted a terrifying aura, making everyone hesitant to come within 10 yards of the stone steps. Guardians? Seeing these lifeless, statue-like figures, Yu exclaimed in surprise. Yes, and probably very powerful guardians at that. Just from these statues, one can feel it. If I'm not mistaken, these 7 statues should all possess the strength of a Do-D, Xiao Yan said, his eyes reflecting a serious hue. These statues, still now, do not move, but that's only because they have not yet been triggered. One can imagine that once these statues are activated or awaken, a fierce and bloody battle will surely ensue. Moreover, since these statues guard this main hall, these people must have been formidable in life, possibly underlings of the emperor himself. We should be careful, Xiao Yan observed, spotting some subtle differences. Hearing this, Yuru's complexion slightly changed. 7 Do-D level powerhouses, although the exact strength of these stone sculptures was unknown. If they were capable of accompanying an emperor, how could they be mediocre? Such a lineup, even if the present powerhouses joined forces to subdue them, the losses would inevitably be substantial. As expected of an emperor's ruins, if a fight breaks out here, Yu was also astonished, feeling a chill even she couldn't ignore. Let's all be careful and stay together, Xiao Yin warned with a grave expression, then turned his head, his face quickly shifting to a smile as he gestured towards a direction. It was the alchemist from Qing City. Hee, Xiao Yin, my young friend, it's better to arrive at the right time than early. This is the main hall, you see. There's a gray-white dividing line that's also weakening. It may soon disappear completely. Seeing Xiao Yin, Bai Shan smiled, leading the alchemists towards him with a laugh. Elder Bai Shan, is this the goal of our journey? Why are there as many as 7? Xiao Yin asked with a smile, knowing that Bai Shan was also an elder of the Alchemist Association. Among those present, he probably had a better relationship with the Alchemist Association, being an honorary elder there, whereas with others, he was either unfamiliar or at odds. Yes, it should be. However, I think those 7 orbs are related to these 7 statues here. Although I'm not sure what the connection is, who gets them will depend on luck and strength. Bai Shan nodded and smiled approvingly at Xiao Yin. It was impossible for Bai Shan to believe that just 2 people could penetrate so deep into the ruins' main hall without possessing exceptional abilities. No wonder the chairman had instructed to take good care of Xiao Yin before departing. I think so too, responded Xiao Yin, carefully eyeing the 7 statues, then casting a curious glance at the 7 orbs. The Emperor's ruin sure had many tricks. Even at the end, pulling off such a stunt meant that obtaining even one of these orbs was not going to be easy. Indeed, Bai Shan chuckled, his gaze sweeping around the grand hall. Xiao Yin, my young friend, it seems you have quite a few people targeting you this time. Just a little trouble. Xiao Yin laughed, aware that among those present, only Wu Huan harbored hostility towards him, though he wasn't sure why. Even if Wu Huan was a late-stage 3-star Do-D, Xiao Yin wasn't afraid. Then there was Feng Yi from Wind Thunder City, whose intentions might not exactly be hostile, perhaps just wishing for a spar. Next was the undead who had stolen Yuru's crescent jade fruit. Even though it was a fake, he couldn't let him off. Xiao Yin whispered to Yuru, when the gray-white line dissolves, don't rush to act. These treasures, while priceless, are hot potatoes. Whoever grabs them first is courting disaster. Yuru nodded slightly, understanding that once someone got hold of the treasures, they would immediately become targets. With so many powerful individuals in the Grand Hall, a single slap from one could result in a bloody defeat, even for someone as strong as Wu Huan. Xiao Yin not only has a strong talent for cultivation, but his skills in alchemy are also exceptional. Most importantly, despite his youth, he lacks the impetuousness of young people. His future achievements will certainly be extraordinary. It was a good decision by the chairman to affiliate him early with our Alchemist Association, Bai Shan reflected, pleased with his foresight. If I can help, I will. If this great opportunity falls to Xiao Yin, that's also good. No wonder the chairman reminded me to take extra care of this young man. Even I can sense something unusual about him. He's definitely not simple. Seeing that Xiao Yin was not impulsively driven by the lure of the treasures, Bai Shan nodded approvingly, his esteem for Xiao Yin increasing significantly. Xiao Yin, of course, was unaware that his behavior had earned him many points in Bai Shan's view. At that moment, his attention was tightly focused on the orbs floating in the middle of the Grand Hall. He could see the reflected light of the orbs in the eyes of the people around him. Wu Huan also stared fixedly at the 7 orbs of light, his eyes rapidly shifting as he pondered something. Feng Yi and her group frowned at the sight of the 7 orbs, noting that there were nearly 500 people in the hall already. Truly, too many wolves and not enough meat. The seal is about to disappear. Xiao Yan's expression turned serious as he suddenly heard his mentor, the Golden Dragon King, whisper softly, "Master, you mean this is?" "Don't ask me. I don't know much about the intricacies within these ruins of the powerful. Let's just see how it goes," the Golden Dragon King replied, noticing Xiao Yan's concern. "The gray-white line has disappeared," someone in the hall announced, and many eyes immediately filled with intense greed. As the gray-white dividing line slowly disappeared, a barrier that resembled a glass wall of fighting energy also shattered thunderously. No sooner had the words fallen than someone, eager and quick, dashed toward one of the 7 nearby orbs of light, clearly aiming to secure it first. As this figure approached, the 7 orbs suddenly trembled violently, then burst forth with a brilliance even more dazzling than before, revealing ancient scrolls within the intense light, now visible to the naked eye. The scrolls emitted an ancient aura, slowly spreading throughout the grand hall from mid-air. Essence. The orbs radiated an even stronger light, and 7 differently colored streams of light burst forth, then slowly hovered in front of 7 figures. Through the luster, the onlookers could faintly see the scrolls inside, an ancient aura emanating from them, turning many eyes blood-red with desire. Their breathing suddenly intensified. Immortal-class combat techniques have emerged. After a brief moment of silence in the Grand Hall, a scream suddenly pierced the air, followed immediately by the sound of thunderous impacts. Powerful surges of fighting energy burst forth densely throughout the hall, as figures, desperate like locusts, dashed towards the scrolls transformed into streams of light. The entire Grand Hall instantly boiled over. The allure of Immortal-class combat techniques was evidently fatally attractive. A dark figure swiftly attacked towards one of the powerful orbs of light, appearing instantly beside one of the 7 orbs. "Haha, the Immortal-class combat technique is mine." The dark-skinned man also laughed heartily, as if he could already see the reachable Immortal-class combat technique beckoning to him. The power of an Immortal-class combat technique was incomparable, typically a symbol of clans or major families, treasured and coveted. Securing one could mean soaring to great heights. Rising to prominence was just a matter of time. The dark figure could not suppress the smile on his face and reached out his hand towards the orb less than a foot away. Although the Grand Hall had erupted into chaos, everyone paused to carefully watch the dark-skinned man reaching for the orb. They knew that whether this person succeeded or not, there always had to be someone to pioneer the way. Success meant acquiring an Immortal-class combat technique, although there might be a risk of being robbed later. Failure, however, meant bang, bang, bang. The moment the dark-skinned man touched the orb, he was instantly engulfed. It was less that the orb swallowed him and more that, upon touching the orb containing an Immortal-class combat technique, He shattered like glass, disintegrating into countless specks of light. To think, this dark figure was a 3-star Do-D early-stage powerhouse, and yet in the face of this mysterious scroll orb, he was utterly fragile. Not only his body shattered instantly, but even his soul had no chance to escape. Impatience does not bring success, and this dark figure met the worst outcome. Then, from within that orb, sharp sonic waves spread throughout the grand hall, causing many powerful individuals to shift their expressions, sensing the extraordinary strength of that sound. As everyone wondered, suddenly, rushing wind noise filled the grand hall, followed by a dense white fog sweeping across from within, eventually gathering in midair. As the mist dissipated, it faintly revealed 7 figures appearing beside the orbs. Everyone looked up, no longer concerned with the vanished dark figure, because the 7 stone statues that were previously in the hall had disappeared. Damn it! Have the Guardians awakened? Seeing the vanished 7 stone statues, many hearts skipped a beat and brows furrowed. The strength of the 7 stone statues was well known to those present. If they had awakened, that would add even more intensity to the already fierce competition for the scarce 7 orbs of combat techniques. Xiao Yan's gaze was fixed on the figures in midair, his expression calm as he observed. At the forefront of the 7 figures was one in gray-white clothing, with the other 6 figures flanked on either side. The 7 stone statues, which had been covered with rock-like material, now appeared devoid of their stony exteriors, resembling normal humans. Xiao Yan could sense a power from the 6 figures arranged around the gray-clad figure that was no less terrifying than Wu Huan's. The figure in the center, whose aura was subdued as if he possessed no fighting energy, was undoubtedly the most formidable, Xiao Yan knew. As the white mist above the grand hall slowly cleared, the true forms of the 7 stone statues were revealed. The previously quiet and tense hall suddenly felt like a heavy bomb had been dropped, almost instantly turning the atmosphere boiling hot. At the same time, the light from the scrolls slowly transformed into a light sphere that infused into the 7 guardians, and at that moment, the 7 figures suddenly opened their eyes that had been closed for countless years, a dense killing intent spreading instantly. Intruders! Kill without mercy!